I love monsters. I love huge monsters, I love good monsters, I love bad monsters, I love awfully done monsters, I love monsters with amazing intricate practical effects, I love stop motion monsters, I love puppet monsters, I love men in rubber suits, I love monsters with CGI rendered using an Atari 500, I love aliens, I love demons, I love dragons, I love werewolves, and vampires, not you, and zombies are a bit overplayed, but I still love fucked up zombie monsters. I love natural monsters, I love man-made monsters, I love radioactive monsters, I love machines, I love sea monsters, I love sky monsters, I love huge monsters, I love small monsters, I love evil monsters, I love friendly monsters, I love cute monsters, and I love scary monsters. No, I'm not going into that house, I know what's in there, you can't make me. I love monsters of all shapes, sizes, origins, and natures. And you know what I really love? Well, it's obviously Godzilla. I love that huge monster that beats up other huge monsters. I love the unstoppable, terrifying force of nature. I love him picking up his tail and flying using his nuclear breath. I love him being a giant CGI king of the monsters. I love Godzilla. And you know what? I love my introduction to Godzilla too. I have a basic mental image of a black and white rubber suit Godzilla from somewhere in my very young years. We had a toy of that classic Godzilla somewhere. I have no idea where it's ended up now though. Probably in the same place as my self-esteem. But my real first love with Godzilla? Well, you've clicked on the title of the video and seen the thumbnail. Either that or you didn't catch autoplay quickly enough, or you fell asleep watching videos at 3 AM and it's a work night. It's the Roland Emmerich Godzilla. It's Godzilla. I must have been, what, 4? 5 when this one came out? I was old enough to be conscious of all the advertisements, those amazing teasers and all the merchandise. Walking through all the shops, seeing a 3-foot statue of Zilla holding the Empire State Building. Just the sheer size of that huge lizard, and the name, Godzilla. Yes, I know, it was such a departure from the original Toho Godzilla. Roland Emmerich's interpretation was much more focused on the idea of looking at Godzilla through the lens of how a giant creature like that behaves and interacts with the world as a giant animal, rather than an indestructible force of nature that no man-made weapons can harm, itself being a representation of the horrors of nuclear war, as was the original Japanese movie. But honestly, even after all this time, it's a bit of a guilty pleasure for me. Hell, not even guilty about it. I still like this version, even if it isn't really Godzilla, and hopefully a little piece of you might find something to like about this version too. If you haven't seen it yet, I recommend tracking it down and giving it a go, because this is where I'll recap the film, and, spoilers ahead. We open with stock footage depicting nuclear bomb tests in French Polynesia, backed by the film's grandiose score, all the wildlife being obliterated except for one singular egg. Cut to a cannery ship years later, and we get our first encounter with our big best boy, only getting a glimpse of his size on sonar and a swing of his tail. Cut to our main lead, Nico Totopoulos, who's investigating radiation effects on worms in Chernobyl, before he gets dragged away by the military because, hey, radioactive animals are his forte. After a brief name drop at a hospital from one of the surviving crew members, we cut to Panama for another glimpse at the sheer size of the best boy, and an introduction to a couple of more scientists. Cut to Godzilla? No? Okay. Before we cut straight to New York, to meet our love interest, Nico's college sweetheart, Audrey, who's trying to get a promotion at the news company she works at. Unfortunately, the anchor is an asshole and wants a team player, if you know what I mean. Cut to Godzilla? No? Not yet? Okay. Back to Nicky T being sexually harassed by his boss too, and we get to see the remains of the cannery ship. And we see Mr. Roach, an insurance man. Neat. Nico takes a fleshy sample from the wreckage and... cut to Godzilla? No? Yes? Yes! 200 miles off the east coast of the US, Godzilla attacks a fishing trawler and steals its catch. Well, we don't see him yet, but we know it's him. The build-up is genuinely good, and the teasers of the big guy keep you guessing the whole of the intro. And we're only 20 minutes in. Cut to a plane in the sky and, oh man, that's cute, it's a miniature. Max deduces exactly what the best boy is, a mutated result of the nuclear testing. Wait, did I just call Nico Max? Whoops. Sorry about that. First draft of the script was done before I rewatched the film. Back to New York, Audrey meets with her friends for lunch and sees Nick on TV, and it's clear she's still down bad. Lucky bastard. Cut to the harbour for honestly one of the best shots in the film, as a poor old fisherman reels in Godzilla. Yeah, but man, you should have seen the size of the fish I caught. The compositing of the practical effects here is just spectacular. The pier exploding behind the guy, the two spines poking out from either side of the bulge of water, it's just a masterclass.
And he emerges! The best boy is here!
We don't quite get a good look at his face yet, but we get body shots, we get legs, we get admittedly a bit dated CGI, considering Jurassic Park had released by now. But hey, who cares? In the long run, it's how it's used that counts. They had a quarter scale model of the guy that they used for some of the shots, and honestly, I'm glad that they used both digital and practical effects because it all just works for me. He goes through a stomp through the city. Fine, it's the fish he really wants, but still, he maybe kills and injures a few people in the process. Bad. Naughty. Don't do it again. No. Cut to Mayor Ebert? Why? Roland, poor form. Anyway, he's holding a rally, and the best boy, yes, he's the best boy again now, we've forgiven him, turns up. Maybe he wants a pin. Although, in his enthusiasm, it could be argued that maybe he squishes a few people. Bad. Naughty. But hey, come on, they were in the middle of the road. They were going to get hit by a car or something anyway. This is the Tour de France all over again. He swings by to say hi to Audrey and her friends, and they're all so excited they can't help but scream. Victor even goes to grab a camera to mark the occasion. Yes, I know, I'm spending a lot of time on the best boy, but can you blame me? Look, he's getting better. He didn't squish Vic. I love how they also like to wait for Godzilla's tail to fully leave the shot before cutting away. Even though it's not the best model, they use it to full effect, and it never feels lazily implemented. It's always interacting with the world in some way, and the practical effects in compositing reinforce that. So back to Nico and the army, because somehow Godzilla's disappeared. He came, he saw, he hated it, and left. I can relate. Nico points out Manhattan's a perfect little island for the best boy. It's got water, it's got hiding places, it's got fish. Back at the news station, Audrey figures she can get in touch with Nico for a scoop on the situation, and tries to relay this to her asshole boss, but, you know, he's an asshole. So she yoinks his badge and makes herself a fake one, and goes to see if she can't get a hold of Nico's package of information. Look, you're not here for quality, leave me alone. Along the way, people are evacuating the trail of destruction left by Zilla. No. Bad. And Mr. Roach gets a bug on Mayor Ebert. What a noble insurance thing to do. But it's not insurance, they're French secret agents. Neat. Back to Max.
Damn it!
And the reason Zilla hasn't been seen for a while is because it turns out he's been busy digging underground tunnels, burrowing under New York. Wait, if something that big was making huge tunnels underground with no respect for foundational city structures, shouldn't New York be looking like, say, Batman No Man's Land? Shouldn't all the ground be collapsing due to the sheer weight of it all being unable to support itself at that scale? Bad. We'll overlook that for now because, let's face it, every step should break his leg. Physics doesn't like it when a creature gets that big, and that's why nothing on Earth specifically will ever get that big with the way our current evolutionary biology works. You'd have to be made of a stronger, lighter organic substance. Bad. Let Godzilla exist. Bad. Anyway, some of the tunnels lead away from the island, and they want to keep him there to deal with him inside the quarantine zone. This is where Max comes up with the idea to lure him out rather than try and chase him out.
Oh my god, I called him Max again.
So they set some bait for the big guy. Zilla comes for his dinner, and this is probably the first real shot we get to see of his face, and this is where I'll talk about his design for a moment. I know it's not the classic look, but honestly, this is one of the best monster designs ever. His big old chin, his slender frame, the rows of edgelord spines running down his back. This is the Godzilla I grew up with as a kid, and I think that he looks fucking great as an alternative. I wish that the Mechagodzilla design from Godzilla vs. Kong used this as a base, because I think that a robotic version of it would have been perfect as a foil. And I hope that the Monsterverse takes the opportunity to do some real justice into making this design something held in the same regard as the classic. Hell, I'll even go further and say that I prefer this design to the Godzilla Planet of the Monsters and Singular Point. Frankly, I even prefer this design to the weird split-mouth design, lasers from every pore Shin Godzilla. Yes, I'm biased by rose-tinted glasses, but hey, someone's gonna like this as a Godzilla design, and I do. This is also where the much more animalistic characterization of him gets displayed more. Fine, he destroys a few buildings, boats, cars, trucks, people, but it isn't destruction for the sake of destruction. More big dumb lizard clumsiness energy. And he even has some of the slightly benevolent traits of Godzilla's later versions, where he doesn't actively seek to harm innocent humans and sees them as more curiosities, fellow living beings to share the land with. He prefers fish. Another thing we'll touch on here is the music. I love it. It perfectly encapsulates the grand scale of this huge unnatural beast with the level of reverence that he deserves. The soundtrack wants you to know that this is an awe-inspiring creature, and that it should be seen as a gentle giant rather than feared as a destructive monster. So let's let him have his fish cake and eat it while he's here. He isn't hurting anyone. So after he has a quick bite, the military open fire.
No! Bad! Fuck you! Naughty! Don't shoot! Zilla! Bad!
And Zilla runs away. All further destruction is the military's fault, and he turns and breathes fire at them. Or does he? Honestly, it's hard to tell. I can't decide if it's the cars blowing up from his breath that makes a huge fireball, or if it's breath that ignites the air around it. Take your pick. The army sends helicopters to chase him through the maze-like buildings, and the moment he holds still, they fire missiles. So he moves out of the way, and the missiles hit the Chrysler building. The army guy literally just says, "Oh, damn," and he looks super embarrassed about it. I feel you, buddy. But still, bad. They pick up the chase, and Godzilla, yet again, slips away. After they decide to fire at the obviously empty building, Godzilla busts through a different building and takes two of them out, and is hot on the heels of the last one, taking him out in one more slippery maneuver. That went about as well as can be expected. If you're enjoying it so far, please go and check out part 2.